All right, we got manga chapter 350, Hunter x Hunter. So the previous chapters were basically Kurapika, and Kurapika basically gonna go and infiltrate the prince's bodyguards to find his man, the fourth prince. Additionally, the king had given everybody a Nen Beast. We saw Benjamin's Nen Beast. We saw his own Nen Beast. And Nen Beasts are basically reincarnations of their own people, of their own users' personality. Reincarnation of their own personality, but they also act independently of their own users. Like the users don't have direct control over them. At least that's what it was illustrated. So let's move on. Kurapika is talking about infiltrating the guard. So this gonna be a very good chapter. I feel like the application method for pro hunters requires. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm not reading American. I'm freaking reading Japanese. six of the six of the princes are recruiting the best pro hunters they can find for their own bodyguards. The application method for pro hunters requires them to input the organization's registration number, and in event two, requests are made with the same number, they will be instantly disqualified. Put their organization registration number with the same. He can't apply more than once. And if they apply while concealing their status, they're already being ineligible. This is a mission requiring constant presence in the immediate vicinity of the prince. There is still there there is still a possibility that among one of the six princes, one of them is my target Serenich. There is no better way to get closer to the princes than this. So that's why you are going to infiltrate each of the prince's bodyguards. Melody, Kurapika's nin teacher, uh what's that guy's name? Hanzo. Who I don't know, the guy with the beard, and Bisky. Man, Kurapika's really got connections. Making just one making this request just 1 month before the voyage, and on top of that, you want you want to infiltrate all six simultaneously. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you're pretty bold for that, Kurapika. Not even gonna lie to you. All right. Sure seems like something must have happened for a countermeasure like this to have been needed. Iz- Izunu Izunaba Uzunabi, master and student relationship, more or less. I don't think that target number four is in here. Number one and number four have the same mother, so in other words, they're all veterans at this Prince game. They would surely have private forces to draw on that they can trust. That's a good analysis. Hanzo, pure. I agree. Trying to buy defendable protection like this, that's the mark of an amateur. Or without a lot of influence, somebody who doesn't have influence. So, yep. Naive and without experience, that would be number 5 through 8. Okay. Basho, Nostrad family. So he's from Kurapika's mafia. Well then, that would be all the more convenient for us to easily win them over. If we can win over their trust, we might even be able to get closer to the higher up princes. Melody. I don't think so. Battles for succession are always at their best ugly. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them made moves to get some of their threats out of the way. So the princes are going to be very vigilant. They're not going to be very not going to be very brotherly, even though they're probably not brotherly in the first place. What I want is to get as close as possible to the fourth prince. So what I need is for you to gather any information that would be beneficial in accomplishing that. Apart from that, I'll leave everything else in your own individual discretion. As close as possible, like how close are we talking? Ideally close enough that I can touch him. That way I'll have more possible options and precision with my abilities. If by chance I can shake hands with the fourth Prince Serenich before the eve of our voyage, then you could all cancel on this whole ship thing and it'd be fine with by me. Hold on just a second. By cancel, you're talking about this whole bodyguard thing and not your request, right? After all, after we accept the request to be bodyguards, our contract to you with you will have been completed. And so we succeed in that you will be compensating us properly, right? Of course, that's fine. Although if you had a normal level of comprehension, I would think you wouldn't have to confirm something like that. Listen here, you. I don't know who you think you are, but I trust you about as far as I can throw you. Okay, that's pretty fair. He thought that like her Pico was gonna try to withhold the funding. That he's not gonna give them the funds if they complete their journey. That's a scammer. I don't want to hear that from some hypocrite who puts on airs for everyone she meets. What? Since it's you we're talking about here, I'm sure you're gonna end up butting heads with Biscuit. So how about I tell you a way to easily smooth things over with her? It's not like I get along with her myself. I knew what to do. I just couldn't bring myself to. It was just too gross. Seriously, it may make you sick to your stomach, but you should just go ahead and get it over with. Seriously though, it's gross. This is all in order to reclaim my brethren. After all, if it weren't for Killua's introduction, such a rare, delicate, elegant young girl as yourself, never taken on the request of someone like me, right? You're much more fitted to be a princess than a bodyguard anyway. So if you still want to back out, now's your chance to do it. Oh man. I'll do anything no matter what it takes. Are you all ready? Yes. Anything you say. Now then, please send your data to each of your respective princes. The clients are also their legal wives and children. No, that's not all. There could also be people there in some kind of complicated situation or relationship. Of course, we'd be in no position of knowing about anything other than what we were initially told. All six of their requests are nearly identical, except for slight differences in their conditions and requirements. But no matter how small the difference, it may be a clue as to lead me to closer to my target. I've got to choose the right one to go with. Among all these, the person that would let me get the closest to my target, those who were completely oh wait, I'm reading it wrong way. The person who puts their request out the quickest, or perhaps the latest, or perhaps the one who had offered the most compensation, or the person who wasn't involved with competing over bodyguards from the start, the person who dropped out of competing the fastest, the person with countless conditions for employment, or the person with none at all, those who were completely clear about what they were looking for, or who kept it a complete secret, or one without an interview process at all, etc. Among all these, the person that will let me get the closest to my target is most likely one of these two. Okay, there's a lot of things to think about, Mr. Kurapika. What is needed of a prince is the ability to display maturity and confidence, and I saw that in two of them. One from the results of the competition put out One from the results of the competition put out the highest compensation, the other refuses to change his compensation. In order to attain his victory, he put down the highest compensation, with no intent at all to ever lose. He's the type that puts his strength on display. The one that didn't change his composition at all has a strong sense of pride, self-esteem, and self-control. I can imagine he's the type that would expect such of his opponents. The one that matches the most to that in this profile is Prince Harkenburg, and I believe that one of these two is him. At age 15, he skipped grades to attend the world's greatest university, Wall. He studied physics and also competed in the World Championship of Archery, winning a gold medal, foreshadowing. Even among princes, his achievements excel and stand out. But he has bad relations with his mother and his two sisters, foreshadowing again. He would say that it was all just bad luck. And to be frank, within the palace, he was beyond the king's control as well. They simply could not handle him. While still in grade school, they had him admitted to a boarding school, which resulted in rumors such as he was exiled or in hiding from assassins. He himself had once posted on Facebooks that Serenich is the only one of the princes that accepts me. Okay, Kurapika, so you need to get to him. You need Harkenburg. With such powerful feelings of alienation and angst, he had found only one person that would sympathize with him and understand him. And if even when they were apart, he would still keep constant correspondence with that person. It's highly likely that while on the ship together, they would reunite. From their profiles, I imagine the other one is either Prince number 6 or number 10. These two didn't even have a good reason for why they chose to give the interviews themselves. Apart from the fact they both liked to choose their bodyguards based on their looks, all the while all the while being so arrogant as to keep up with their social networking updates during the process. So they care about like appearances, performances, um, appearances and performances in relation to money. That would be, wouldn't they also be like one of the? They would also be the type to like bolster their money. They would like to uh show that they have a lot of money too. I feel like because like they value things so much. Either way, I can't see either of them as having a very strong connection to Serenich. But no matter what it takes, I must deduce which of these is Harkenberg. Kurapika. All the others have sent their notices. All that's left is you and me, who still haven't selected for. I would assume that Harkenberg would have private guards, considering that he's very independent, smart, skilled. I would assume that he's very independent. So I would assume that he wouldn't sign up to have bodyguards. All the others have sent their notices. All that's left is you and me who still haven't selected for. I guess I should go with my first instinct. Harkenberg would likely be a very hard person to deal with, both to himself and to the people around him, and so he's got to be this one. Okay. Okay, then I'll take that one. Wow, I've already got a response be at the Hoi Hoi Hotel at 7 p.m. Me too. Looks like there's going to be a briefing. And me too, but my location is different, although it's still a hotel managed by Huegoro family. If you get any clues, get in touch with me right away. If they request to keep control over any information going out, then just as you would have guessed, use Q. Roger. An original special telephone network developed by the organization, which by sending 9 numbers, the receiving end can use special analysis software to extract and exchange information, leaving behind no records or call logs, and unable to have any of its data gathered by any conventional tapping or tracing systems. Okay, so they have good communication lines, intelligence services, and whatnot. The prince is waiting inside. The 14th prince, Prince Wobble. Pleased to meet you, Wobble. Wobble and his mother, Oito. My name's Kurapika. You seem somewhat disappointed. Disappointed. So I mean she's very intuitive. She's very smart, intuitive. No, not in the slightest. Don't worry. After all, that makes me all the more sure, all the more sure you're the kind of person we're seeking. Damn, she's fucking smart. But why is everybody so smart in this show, man? Oh my god. What do you mean? The kind of person we are seeking that would be the one, that would be one who, by looking at our profile, would have come here thinking that I was Prince Harkenburg. She's. How do you even come to that conclusion? There's no way you can be that smart. Oh my god. One that would make their way here for their objective, even with the fewest of the clues to go on to. The request data had rules in that no prince would be allowed to make any specific or particular request. The only thing we were allowed to change was the amount of compensation. All other data was collected based on a given format. The reason is that if princes were allowed to give out specific data, it would be too easy for those who would want to assassinate a prince to infiltrate. Also to defend against people congregating around the more popular princes. The one who both the one who both of those seem to apply to is Prince Harkenburg. And I'm sure that he himself knows that. That's why he didn't put out a request to begin with. So that's how it was. Prince Harkenburg is quite the harsh person to deal with, both to himself and those around him. He wouldn't be able to get above the rules, but if those that knew him found out he was involved in the search for bodyguards, he could simply change his compensation offered to zero. He himself wanted to try and change the royal family governments from its roots, and it was that outright attitude that gathered supporters for him. Gradually, he began to attain more power and authority, and consequently, there were constantly rumors of assassinations around, even among his supporters. People used him changing his image to try and create a dictatorship. The people his supporters investigation the people his supporters investigation team worked to keep away from him were mostly either assassins or fake supporters. But to us, all of that was convenient, since it allowed for a give and take, quid pro quo situation. So she's working with Harkenberg, I'm assuming. While those that are after his, while those that are after his life are protecting us, we can preserve and improve that situation. Oh no, she's just taking advantage of the situation. After all, those that seek to control and manipulate him would know his weak points and how to get to him. What are you talking about? You don't understand at all, do you? What could be wrong with candidates for the succession all coming together normally? The pros will handle their duties professionally, even if they're just in it for the money. It would be a good chance for those with ulterior motives to get close to the princes, though that's not the only thing at play here. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. This is a very important chapter. Okay, so Kurapika knew that this guy is the most unique of all the princes. I'm assuming he already knows this stuff of this lore about him, so this is just Oito explaining it to us. So there's people within the royal family that wouldn't like Harkenburg. If there's people in the royal family that don't like him, then that means there's people that want to take him out. If there's people that want to take him out, they would try to use this situation, the succession war arc, to take him out, to try to infiltrate his group and try to get close to him. Because he's an isolationist, he wouldn't allow that. And because he's an isolationist and he wouldn't allow that, he didn't go for bodyguards. Okay. All right, things are starting to add up. The people, his supporters, investigation team worked hard to keep away from him. Were mostly either assassins or fake supporters. But to us, all this was convenience. It allowed for a give and take quid pro quo relationship situation. Okay, so the fact that people are going after Harkenberg means that there's going to be people that are going to be less hostile towards them, basically. And they're more likely to go after Harkenberg since they don't like him. Because Harkenberg is threatening the structure of the royal family. Structure of the royal family. And their jurisprudence, I guess. What could be wrong with the candidates for the succession all coming together normally? They all have individual interests. The pros will handle their duties professionally, even if they're just in it for the money. Okay. Pro bodyguards may specialize in protecting important people, but they haven't had any training at all in proactively killing people. You're talking about in the case of needing to eliminate risk factors, yes. This voyage is meant to be a survival match, a journey until there is only one prince left. The succession war arc. Superior princes named superior princes named so because they have a certain amount of political powers and assets, will have prepared their own private forces who have been meticulously prepared. Those princes welcome this war for succession with open arms. The fourth prince, the first prince, the second prince, and the fifth prince, I think. And the fifth prince. Within wasn't there wasn't there anybody that opposed or rejected this? You shouldn't be doing everything you can. You should be doing everything you can about this while they're still listening to what you have to say. Of course, if I could get out of this, I would. Even for his wife and children, King Quagoro wants them to have the strength and behavior befitting of the royal family. So he doesn't really care about kids. He says like you're in the line of fire. I'm sorry, you're probably gonna die, but it is what it is. It's part of the tradition. The tradition is losing children. Raising the king's child, the prince, is the duty of his wife. A child that believes, that does not doubt at all that they will be king. That is what it means to be a prince. If the chance to become king were to come about, it is only natural for a prince to seize it. That is the way a prince should think. Never will you yourself resign from or abandon that opportunity. Those that do, those that do are no longer the king's children, no longer princes. Those that do are no longer the king's children, no longer princes. That is what has been taught to us, ingrained into us by the king. So like they're all ambitious. They're all ambitious. They're all cynicalists, or they're at least taught to be cynical. Taught to be cynical, taught to want more power, taught to want more control. So like these are pretty sadistic people. The fate of those that flee in defeat is not hard to imagine. You're going to be hunted down, you're a betrayer. The assassins are probably most likely coming for you. We who are the weakest of our position, our trump card is Prince Harkenburg. If the details of how the next king was selected by the succession war here were to be made public, it would be even more damaging for him when he becomes king. We've got plenty of explosive switches that is witnesses willing to testify to threaten him with. That was the only card we could to play to buy our safety. I won't ask how you came here or what you came here for, but if you accept our request and help us escape from the ship, we will pay you 10 times what your compensation was. Or if you keep everything I've told you just now a secret and go back to where you came from, I'll pay you your original designated compensation. She's bluffing. I think she's bluffing. She doesn't have explosive switches. She's buffing. She's trying to convince Karpika to accept the request. I think she is serious about the fact that Harkenberg is people want to go after Harkenberg, and because people want to go after Harkenberg, it lessens the pressure on them. So they're more likely to get people that are want to go after Harkenberg. That's probably true, but what's probably not true is the fact that um she has the levers to threaten him with. I don't think she has the powers to threaten him with. She's a lower queen. She's one of the lowest queens, so she doesn't have a lot of power, I would assume. After all, I'm not in any position to force you to do anything. And I'm not in a position to force you to do anything either. But if you will accept my conditions, I promise I will protect the two of you until every last once of my strength. Very well, I'll do it. I think above all else, she cares about protecting the prince. Because even so, it seems like she wants to abandon Princess for her child because she wants to escape. But she said that you're not supposed to. Like, it's part of the royal family. You're supposed to want to be ambitious and ascend to the throne, but you can't do it. She can't do it. So she believes she just wants to get out of here. Help us escape. Help us leave the competition. Even though it's a survival death match, there are other passengers here on this ship, so it's not like we can go killing out in the open. We need to keep up our outward appearances to everyone, which includes attending banquets and parties with the other VIPs. I think I'll be able to create a chance for you to at least pass by him. You may already know this, but although we may all seem equal, our outward appearances beneath that, our outward, we may all seem equal from outward appearances. Beneath that, there exists a strict, rigid, and harsh gap between the status of the superior upper ranks and lower rank wives. Breaking that strata among the princes would cause a huge uproar. So lower princes are probably forbidden from attacking higher ranked princes. Understood. Please don't force us any situation that would cause you any worry. Okay, I see. I was a foolish girl from an impoverished family. When the king first fell in love with me, he was smitten with me as his wife. At that time, my only dreams and wishes were to be showered in fame and wealth. It was a shameful life of excess and luxury. But when Wobble was born, I learned of this fate. From the bottom of my heart, I at, at last I felt regret, as I finally realized what was truly precious to me. Would you like to hold my little girl? Izunabe, Izunabe, bodyguard of 6th Prince Tyson. Biscuit, bodyguard of 13th Prince Mariam. Basho, bodyguard of 7th Prince Lazarus. Hanzo, bodyguard of 12th Prince Momozi. Melody, bodyguard of 10th Prince Kacho. Wow. What's the next one? Oh, nah. I have to hold that one off. I can't finish that one. Because I have to do that. I'm gonna do the full thing, I think. Oh my god. That fight is lit. Oh man. That's gonna be one for the books. One that I'm gonna want to read forever. I can't go on to the next episode because that's Crollo versus Hisoka. Okay, so that chapter was a very important chapter. It was basically talking about the relationship between the princes, and basically each prince is an individual motive. Harkenburg is very independent, and he's an anomaly among the royal family. Like he goes against everything that the royal family stands for. He's ambitious, but like he doesn't want the structure of the kingdom, like and all that stuff. He has a cult like following. He has people that want him to be the sole leader of Kaken. They want him as a leader or whatnot. I think Togashi does a good job at like explaining like people's motives and whatnot, like what they want out of life, you know? And, like Hunter x Hunter, like Gon was supposed to be you know, he was supposed to fulfill his dreams, like, like finding his father or whatnot and like going on adventures and using his powers or whatnot for whatever he wanted to use them for. But he lost all that. He lost all that because he saw like he saw the short term like revenge as a revenge like impeded his goal or whatnot. It clouded everything. It consumed him. He talks a little bit about that with uh the third wife or the fourth wife. I forgot which number she is. She was all she wanted was a life of luxury, but she learned to not want that. She wanted to nurture life and whatnot. Togashi does a good job about talking about aspirations, so we definitely know a little bit more about the princes and whatnot. Harkenburg, Harkenburg, Oito, and whatnot. I think the Dark Continent arc. Oh my god, I cannot believe I get to read it again, especially since I don't remember a lot of it. I remember some of the significant events, but I don't remember everything. So cool. Like I didn't remember that whole thing about Harkenburg his past. I didn't know any of that stuff, so it's cool to read it for the first time. Or seemingly for the first time. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll be getting to this next part, which is very consequential. Crollo versus Hisoka is very consequential. Thank you very much. Have a good one. See ya.